A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
This is Andrew McLennan. In recent times, Australians have identified that men's health, and in particular, men's mental health, is a real issue in society. But one of the challenges with this is, what do we do to help men with their health, and in particular, with their mental health? Men, by nature, don't like opening up. They don't like talking. They find it hard sometimes to talk about emotional and personal issues. So it's really refreshing today to have a guest who has found a niche and found a way to bring men together and bring good news to them and bring hope to them in a very creative way. Hudson Dale, welcome.
Andrew McLennan, good to be here. How are you, sir?
Good, mate. It's great to have you here, Hudson. Now, tell me, what are you doing to help men with their mental health?
Yeah. So about once every 2, maybe 3 months, depending on how life goes, we have a men's breakfast. We have it at my place, and we have a guest speaker. We keep it very rough and real and quick. It's not weird or religious. We invite absolutely everyone, so everyone in my world, clients from work, neighbours, old school friends, absolutely everyone. And we also keep it non-age specific. We get old men, we get kids. So we've got a creek and a fireplace and a coffee cart, and yeah, it's an absolute riot.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of our listeners attend church, and we have men's events and men's ministries in our church, but what makes your breakfast different to a typical men's breakfast that a church puts on?
Yeah, my men's breakfast is aimed at non-churched, non-Christian men. So if you come to my breakfast, I do, how should I say it? It's not a Christian event. It is actually just a community event. And you know, one of the things I'll tell them is, hey, you're all here on false pretense. I want you to give your life to God, but while you're here, let's have some fun. And then I'll have a rant. I'll insult the whole lot of them. I'll say something funny, and then I'll hand it over to my guest speaker, who will put on a show of sorts, usually a masculine one.
Yeah. Now, hang on. So when you say you'll have a rant, you know what you mean by that. But just for our audience today, what do you mean by you'll have a rant?
So I'm rarely short of words and thoughts and opinions, and so I will just unleash on the boys whatever I've been thinking about. I usually keep it very entertaining, a little bit hilarious, and not politically correct, and I feed it to them, and then that's basically me loosening them up for them to get some kind of inspiring message from whoever I have invited along.
Yeah, and just to clarify for our audience too, Hudson is an established Christian. He's planted in a local church. But what I love about these breakfasts, Hudson, is no one in your local church told you to do this, did they? That's
right. So from the pulpit, I go to C3 at Bridgeman Downs, and he's retired now, but Gordon Moore was a father figure in my life, and he has always said, if God is telling you to do something, do not ask permission from anyone from the church. You don't need the banner. You don't need our money. Go and do it. And so that's what I did. My wife bought a few barbecues, and we set it up, and we just invited people, and that's how it started.
I love it. How many years ago was the first one?
Probably about 2.5 years ago. We and it was small. The first one was probably about 30 blokes, and the last one was 147 blokes. And
147 blokes in your backyard. That's a lot. That's a lot of people to host and to entertain. And what's the breakdown of that? Now, how many of those blokes would go to church?
Probably about 40% from a few different churches, not just mine. And so I'd love it to be about 50 or 60% Christian, because I want them all to be mingling and making friends and inviting them to church themselves. Keep it really organic and rough and real, but we get what we get, and you know, we keep it free. So if my friend Andrew McLennan is coming along, I'll say, all right, Andrew, you're going to bring 2 dozen eggs, or you're bringing 2 loaves of bread, or you're bringing 1 kilo of bacon, if I know you're financially stable, and it all just happens itself. Some guys get on the barbecues and they do their thing. Everyone's got $10 in their pocket or a credit card, so the Bellissimo coffee cart gets a hammering, and so that way people get a bit of quality as well. And yeah, and then my speakers, I've had all sorts of guys, like I've had powerlifting, wood chopping from Toowoomba.
So hang on, are your speakers always Christian, or sometimes you're just dudes just doing things?
A little bit of both, but mostly Christian. And I don't necessarily need a well-polished speaker with power notes. I prefer really, really rough, raw, normal men to talk. And they're sometimes nervous and they do their thing, and it's really well accepted by all the blokes that are there. There's a really good spirit.
So you find if a guy's not polished, not professional, but vulnerable and even openly nervous, you find your audience gravitates to them more than if they were a really polished, slick presenter.
Because it's not easy to talk in public, and I've already ripped into everyone anyway, and it's an easy crowd to talk to, because the more you stuff up, the funnier it is, and but also anyone I invite is also doing a physical show of masculine strength. So one time we didn't even have a speaker, so we just did a tug of war, and it was really good.
How many blokes were in the tug of war?
Oh, we had old blokes versus young blokes, of course. What else is there?
What's the demarcation line? What's old and what's young?
Oh, well, you're definitely old, Andrew. Sorry, mate.
I wasn't thinking about me, Hudson. I was thinking about everybody else.
25 and under.
Okay, that's young.
The young bucks and everyone over. And I think the old blokes won. But this one coming up, here's the plug, March 2nd in Fitzgibbon is going to be Andre Moore. Andre Moore is probably Brisbane's second or third most famous basketball player for the Bullets back in the day, and he had a little stint in the NBA as well, and has played against greats like Michael Jordan and Pippen, and he'll rattle off everyone he's played against, which is really cool. You're one degree of separation, and he is not young, Andrew. He's 62, I think, and he's still playing in the men's league against my son, who's 17.
He's still playing at 62.
Unbelievable. Can push the young fellas around.
Man.
And
Can he still dunk?
I'll bet he can. And there's a ring for him to dunk on at my place. He's going to put on a show. He's going to bring his boys from the south side. And he has told me that he's going to say something that's inspiring for old fellas, in particular guys that are thinking about giving up. Like, what are you going to do with the last season of your life? There's no one more qualified than Andre Moore. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So that's on Saturday, the 2nd of March. Mm-hmm. And at the end of this interview, we're going to give people some details on how they can contact you. And I'm guessing too, Hudson, there's a flow-on effect from these breakfasts that guys are meeting guys, forming friendships and relationships, catching up outside of the breakfast as well. And just because that is one of the answers for men's mental health, isn't it? It's just having other guys in your world that you can talk to about stuff and bounce things off.
Yeah, absolutely. And really quick, short story. I won't throw anyone under the bus, but there's a guy named Jason Romerman. He, shout out to him, MMA at Gamebred MMA down near Albion, I think he is.
That's in Brisbane for our Australian. We've got listeners all across Australia, so that's a Brisbane suburb called Albion, yep.
And he came and spoke, and one of the gentlemen in the audience asked, and Jason's got tattoos all over him. He's had a rough and checkered past, full of addiction and everything. He'll tell you all about it. And one of my clients asks the question, my daughter has addiction problems, and it brings down the whole family. What can I do? What can we all do to help? And boy, oh boy, the mood changed. It was just phenomenal. And Jason was going to give a cookie cutter answer, and then he realised, I'm at men's breakfast, I'm just going to tell him how it is. So about 5 seconds of silence, and then he just said, there's nothing you can do. You can just be there and you can pray, but there's nothing you can do. And it was beautiful. It was a magic moment, and people are still talking about that moment. And Jason's now a little bit involved with that daughter's life, and that's from a connection from men's breakfast. And there's all sorts of, it's not business to business. It's not a free breakfast. It's not a are you okay day, which I can't really stand, but that's just me. It's just it is what it is. It's a community breakfast, and it just so happens to be driven by my agenda, which is if you're a one on the scale of 1 to 10 of acceptance of God and church, well, maybe by the end of breakfast you might be a 2.
Yep.
And we just keep working on everyone, and that's what we're going to continue to do. And God willing, it gets bigger, or it just has fruit constantly. That's what I want.
Well, this is what I love about this, Hudson. It's something kind of in the middle. It's not hardcore evangelism run by a local church, but it's also not just a community event that doesn't really bring the kingdom of God to anybody. You're sort of right in that middle ground, aren't you? And it's a real niche, but I think it's such a vital part, like you said, on people's journey, because all of us sort of go on a journey to get saved. We don't just get saved like first time we hear the gospel, or not many people do anyway.
Yeah, and my church is really supportive of it. As the numbers get greater, I've got guys, beautiful friends that volunteer. They put on a high-vis top, and they, as 100 cars pull into my little suburb, they're trying to get them to park in appropriate spots and not annoy the neighbours. And yeah, it takes. It's not me. It's everybody.
Yeah, it's a team effort.
Yeah,
but you're definitely a driver behind it, and like you said, you've got clients, and I'm going to say what industry you're in. You're a commercial real estate agent in Brisbane, and you're a busy guy like everyone these days. Life and work are busy, and yet you're devoting your time to putting on these breakfasts, and I'm sure some of your resources as well, opening up your home and your backyard, Hudson, and I just want to commend you for this. I think this is a great initiative, and I'd love to see it replicated all across Australia, that maybe people are listening today and they think, wow, I think I could do that.
Yeah, they actually can. You've just got to start, and there's a little bit to be afraid of. You're inviting people to your house. What if this happens? What if that happens? Just do it. The amount of quality people that that can speak and can inspire people that don't go to church, you'd be surprised. And, God willing, even better things start to happen.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it.
Well, Hudson, if someone who lives in the Brisbane area wants to come to this breakfast on the 2nd of March, should they contact you via your mobile number, or what's the best way?
Yeah, RSVP 0423 591 529.
I'm going to read that again slowly. 0423 591 529. If you didn't catch that, if you're listening in your car and you can't write that down, contact us here at the station and we will give you that number as well. But Hudson, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and I wish you all the best for the breakfast on the 2nd of March. But moving forward to all the breakfasts you do and the events you do, I just pray God uses you guys wonderfully to reach more and more people for Him.
Amen. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.